the best care possible. Whether it's a routine checkup, a deep cleaning, or a cosmetic makeover, we'll make you smile again. Call us today at area code 869-465-8174 to book your appointment. SDA Dental Clinic. You make us happy when you smile. And it gets even better. For 10% off, just tell them you heard their ad on 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM. Are painful gums making you frown? Need a checkup or cosmetic dental work? Let SDA Dental Clinic put a smile back on your face. Located on East Park Range, Bastille, our qualified dentists use the latest technology and procedures to give you the best care possible. Whether it's a routine checkup, a deep cleaning, or a cosmetic makeover, we'll make you smile again. Call us today at area code 869-465-8174 to book your appointment. SDA Dental Clinic. You make us happy when you smile. And it gets even better. For 10% off, just tell them you heard their ad on 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM. Well, check this one.
Did somebody say tell me? Then tell me about it. Tell me with host Carlisle Powell.
There are talk shows and then there is Tell Me. Your very credible source for information. Join us every Thursday night. You certainly won't be disappointed.
Alongside Dr. Kelvin Daly.
Panic and fear, uncertainty that is compounded by a leadership that appears unprepared, uncertain and indecisive in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic.
And Tulu Weeks.
Until God gets a hold of our Premier's life and transform him, he will go from bad to worse.
We are tired of playing politics. We need to see policies that will change the life of people, especially those of us in the diaspora.
Tell me. Carlisle, I want all women in this rally for change.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m., you can be a part of this conversation by calling 669-7312. That's 869-669-7312. Also available on WhatsApp. For From the Diaspora, 917-460-2187.
Every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with host Carlisle Powell on 2020 Vision Radio and Facebook.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Pinney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and do not represent those of 2020 Vision Radio or its advertisers.
Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough for you, there, good enough for you, there. Tell me what you want, please. Tell me what you need, Denny. Tell me if I'm good enough.
Hi, good night, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Tell Me. We are at edition number 1067. That's how many shows we've had, and we're heading hard now for 1100. It is the sports season here in Nevis, and so we want to congratulate all of those children who are running, and we continue to pray that you run without getting injured, and that you run, give of your best, and if your best is good enough to place you in the top 3, then you get medals, and if you're in the top 1, top 2, you look forward to moving on to inter-primary, which is coming up on the first day of April, which is a Wednesday. Good night. February is almost done. Came in and rushed out. Good night, Tulu. How are you?
Good night. I'm giving thanks. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here again another Thursday evening to share factual information with our viewing and listening public. A special good evening to Mr. and Mrs. Violet Nisbet over there in Jessops, and also to my friend and brother Cableton up in Banscott. Let me reach out and say hi to my sisters Jeanette, Sylvia, and Valerie, also to my nephew Kyron, to Romello Jeffers and his wife, also to Elvan Ellie and his wife, my friend in the Cardin home, Bayo. Bayo have to come to see you. And then to Lavanda, Rhonda, and all those who join us on a regular basis. Call up a friend, let them know that we are up and running.
And how are you, Dr. Daly?
Like Swiss cheese.
Aye. Holy.
Fine wine, our Swiss cheese.
I'm full. Swiss cheese is full of holes.
It's full of holes. So you.
Oh Lord, forgive me. Forgive me. Good night.
It is Lent, so you should behave.
Yes. Good.
Behave?
Well.
Within reason. Within reason. Yeah. Let me say good evening to all those who have joined us for this edition of Tell Me. And if you're on the FM dial, YouTube, Twitch, and of course Facebook, special good evening to all of you. But let me bring greetings to my brother here down there in St. Croix, my brother Carl in Atlanta, my brother Denny and his wife up there in New York, my other brother Carl in Canada, and right here on Nevis, my brother Reverend Arthur Daly, and my 2 sisters up there in the great state of Connecticut in the US of A, even on Judith. So, of course, my boys here on Nevis, over there in St. James, Turkey, Bose, and Max, and Gary, sorry, and of course up in Westbury, my good buddy Max. All those who have taken time out to join us this evening, we welcome your calls, your comments on the Facebook feed, and of course, sit back and relax and have a great time with us.
And I'm saying hello and good night to my big sister Mary. She was in very early this week and last week. So I'm saying good night to you, Mary. And I'm giving a separate shout out this week, Mary, to my brother-in-law, John. So I used to say Mary and John. They're still very much together, but John is getting his own separate shout out this week. And Janet, of course, their daughter.
Something you
good
want.
night.
I'm not getting involved.
Maybe I'm coping to later on say, listen, it's time I come back for Thanksgiving. So I got to start to sweeten up now. Let me say good night to my mother's last child, Movet. Hope that you're doing well. Stretching across and saying hello to Caden and, of course, his mom, Shireen. And then I'm going to say hello and good night to Alan and Dahlia. And then my big sister, Irma Glenda. And, of course, her children, Sharifa and, of course, Shamari. And the granddaughter as well. And then going across to Tortola to say hello and good night to Everett Carter Byron and his wife and the rest of the family. And then coming home to say hello to my youngest brother Trevor and his wife and the rest of the family, and hope that they're doing well. And of course my usual people here at home, including Mr. and Mrs. Farrell, and of course Mrs. Jeffers and Postman, and my godmother over there in Brickhill. Hope that all of you are doing very well. Romello, I haven't heard your voice in a while, so I'm going to have to make sure that I correct that. I'm saying good night to Retta. Retta lost another uncle. Yes. She lost an uncle down in St. Kitts, and she lost another uncle here in Humpy. So we're reaching out and surrounding you with our love. And then, after that, let us go now and see who we have on the birthday list. And even while we are searching for that, I have to tell you that we miss Ricky Hill. So Ricky, belated birthday greetings to you. And my cousin Laurette Wharton up there in England is celebrating a birthday today. They're more advanced in terms of time than us. So she's already into another day. But Laurette, I'm still celebrating your birthday because it's just after 8 down here. Candy Freeman celebrates on Saturday. The good lady Hazel Brandy Williams will celebrate on Sunday, along with Cyan Shiverton. Coach Jamie will also celebrate on Sunday. My aunt Sarah Swanston will be celebrating her birthday on Monday the 2nd. Tuesday the 3rd, we have Odell Busu. Janice Kelly. Janice, listen, I have so many birthday greetings for you. Advanced birthday greetings coming in from Rhonda and Fitzroy, and listen, the whole family. Debbie, Joy, the whole family is sending their love to you in advance. Leniqua Dyer will celebrate on Tuesday as well. Diana Leibrod will celebrate on Tuesday. And Retta Clark Queely will be celebrating on Wednesday. So those are the persons who I have on the birthday list, gentlemen. And we wish all of them very well.
So I thought Loretta's birthday is Wednesday?
I have it here as Wednesday. So if I'm wrong, I'm sure that I will be corrected.
Well, I'm not disputing the date. I'm just wondering where she was born or where she was hatched.
This is,
listen,
what you're told this is,
listen,
this is
Loretta,
Lent.
but more than Lent.
Leave Loretta
listen,
alone.
Loretta more hot like a ginger pepper here, so I don't want to get on she wrong side.
That's what I'm telling you. This is Lent. Do not get she on the other side.
I can't take the blows.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'll tell you something. Let us keep out from between him and Loretta.
Okay.
We will get squeezed.
Okay then.
We did tell Leniqua Dyer, right?
Yes.
Okay, she's celebrating on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I don't see a no tray from her. Yeah. Didn't we celebrate some Dyer recently? Unless Leniqua have two birthdays. Like
no, it's only one for her.
Okay.
So.
And this year went so quickly that it seems like yesterday we did it.
This is a big birthday for Leniqua too. Her parents celebrated in December. They celebrated an anniversary in December.
Okay. Cool. All right. Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And as usual, from us in the studio, may you live to be 101 and us 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
Thank you very much. Now, I have to shout out my very good friend here in Rollins, the bus driver bus 649, and he stopped me again today and he said to me, listen, you like to run out the studio in 10 o'clock, come. You must stop it.
You ain't gonna tell me who it is.
Okay.
I don't know who it is.
Okay. And he told me if I have to come down there and bar the door, you're not going to run out of the studio at 10 o'clock at night time. So he's my friend. He's my very good friend. And so I believe him. And we might have to do a little bit of overtime because I don't want to get on the wrong side of my friend. And tonight, it's February. So Four Seasons celebrated their 35th anniversary. So tonight, I had planned that we would do it next month in March. But why not in February when they're celebrating? We're going to go back and do some reflections. But my technical team went and did something. They said they want to do a new promo for Tell Me. And they're expensive. They said the charges are high. But we're going to find a way to pay them. And so they gave me something to use. You guys are hearing it for the first time. So listen to this.
It's time for Tell Me. Talking truth, talking life, matters big and small. Tell me, is the program common reason one and all? Tell me, tell me, tell me. Calling with your views, your voice matters most of all. Real talk, real facts, building a better life for all. Tell me, 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 tell me. Tune into 2020 Vision Radio every Thursday at 8 p.m. with host your number one political talk show. Tell me.
I must say I like it. But I'm not going to shout too much because the price might go up. No, but
so if you say you don't like it, the price go down?
It might go down. So
well,
I should
don't
say
like
that. I got you. Listen, I just want to say thank you very much. It's something new. And I absolutely love it.
Jiggy.
Yeah, he's jiggy.
But I like it, so he's trying to spoil my reputation, not my character.
What you say?
I would not repeat.
I can tell you what you say.
No, don't repeat it. Leave it where it is.
Okay, gentlemen, we're going to start tonight on a sad note before we get into the rest of the show. We reported that Margaret Hanley, I think Master Chief, I think that was her official title in the Navy, that she was missing. She had gone missing, and after 13 days and a lot of prayers and a lot of searching and so on, unfortunately she was found dead. They found her, I think she lives in Jacksonville, they found her in Atlanta. They found the vehicle, they found her beside the vehicle, I understand, and she's not here with us anymore. So we want to reach out to her family, all the members of the Hanley family and the extended family, and give our love and regard and share condolences with all of them. A number of them are my very, very close friends. So I want to reach out personally and send our regards to them. Unfortunately, this is not the outcome that we were looking for.
True.
But they say God moves in mysterious ways.
He does.
Even when people are dead?
Yeah, he does.
All right.
I have no comment.
All right. And then this week, Saturday, will be the funeral service for Sterling Marshall. That's taking place over at Dave's Church at Eden Brown, 9:30 in the morning. I understand viewing, and the funeral starts at 10. Lorna Hunkins, that one will be on the 13th of March, I understand. And head teacher Franklin Brown is at the end of the month. That's on the 28th of March.
Mrs. Wilkerson is on Saturday too. That's the wife of Tim.
Okay.
Yeah, at the Cumbermere.
Okay, Tim? I didn't even know. You're catching me off guard. Tim, my condolences personal. Tim used to work with me as a postman when I was there at the Ministry of Communications and Works and Posts. Humpy, we don't have a date for that one yet, but he too passed on. So we're reaching out to the family and sending our love and so on. And now, gentlemen, I think it's only fair that we go back and we listen to Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel at the opening of Four Seasons. And we're doing this because, we have here in our mix nowadays a lot of persons who are not from Nevis originally. And for some strange reason, some of these people are under the misguided impression that the Four Seasons Hotel was brought to Nevis by CCM. CCM only brought pain and suffering to the people of Nevis, I could tell you that. So let's go back to the opening. This gentleman was the Premier of Nevis when the hotel was opened, and he was an NRP Premier of Nevis.
Sir Clement and Lady Arundel. Right Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Kennedy Simmons and Mrs. Simmons, Deputy Governor General, Honorable Weston Paris and Mrs. Paris, Speaker of the National Assembly, and the President of the Nevis Island Assembly, Mr. and Mrs. Spencer Byron, members of the federal and the Nevis government, members of the opposition, members of the diplomatic corps, including His Excellency Ambassador Shrike of France, Ambassador Eguchi of Japan, Ambassador Strader of Venezuela, our local ambassadors, His Excellency Dr. William Herbert, His Excellency Mr. Terence Byron, Canadian High Commissioner Mrs. Janet Sukowski, Chargé d'Affaires of the Embassy of Taiwan, Mr. Charles Tsai and Mrs. Tsai, His Lordship, Mr. Justice Singh, members of the clergy, Mr. Maida of the Tobashiba Corporation, Mr. Jean Chauffeur of Dumes, Mr. Isidore Sharp of Four Seasons, permanent secretaries and other government officials, members of the business community, representatives of the various financial institutions, other distinguished guests from overseas and at home, ladies and gentlemen, friends. About 4 years ago, serious negotiations started between Dumes and the Nevis Island administration on the possibility of the construction of an upmarket hotel along the same lines that the Inns of Nevis were promoting, together with an 18-hole championship golf course. It was just over 2 years ago that negotiations were completed, and I was engaged in the groundbreaking ceremony where I laid the first stone to commence the construction of this magnificent, luxurious resort. That was an historic moment in industry in Nevis, because we had just opened the gate of golden opportunity in this country. Today, we have just entered the gate, and here we are with a 196-room hotel being operated by the ultimate in the operation of luxury resorts throughout the world. And I'm referring to none other than the illustrious company, Four Seasons. We have again entered the annals of Caribbean history. Just over 200 years ago, the first commercial hotel in the Caribbean, the Bath Hotel, was constructed in Nevis. And today we can boast the opening of the first five-star hotel in the region. The decision of the financiers of this resort to choose a small and relatively unknown island like Nevis for such a huge investment must not come as a big surprise. It is true that this country is a repository of natural beauty, history, and hospitality which make the island irresistible to tourists and investors alike. However, a very significant factor which cannot be overemphasized is the distinctive tourism policy of this administration over the years, which established the framework and environment for tourism expansion. Government's policy of continuing the promotion of upmarket tourism, which is advocated by the Inns of Nevis as opposed to mass market tourism, is certainly paying off. Some islands in the region are already experiencing a decline in tourism revenues because they have followed the path of mass market tourism, which resulted in social and environmental deterioration. In order to avert some of the mistakes made by other islands, we have been trying to increase tourism revenue while at the same time keeping the number of tourists to a level compatible with the developmental goals of this country. We are therefore trying to attract high-quality hotels which target the affluent clientele, and Four Seasons is definitely aiding government in the realization of this objective. It has also been government's policy to attract village rather than metropolitan-style hotels. We recognize the need to provide a different product for the tourists who come to us from countries with mostly high-rise hotels. The Four Seasons Hotel has maintained this style beautifully with its spread-out cottages. These are some of government's policies which have made Nevis attractive to luxurious resorts like the Four Seasons. When government finalized the agreement with Belmont Beach Resort to construct this hotel, the people of Nevis greeted the news with mixed feelings. Most people appeared very excited because of the potential benefits that could accrue to the island from the investment of over 80 million US dollars. However, there were others who were more cautious and expressed concern about the potential negative impact that a hotel of this magnitude could have on a small, unspoiled island like Nevis. I must admit that these concerns were justified because development brings with it social costs which are not easily quantifiable in economic terms. It is heartening, therefore, that the hotel has been constructed and is now operating with minimal disturbance to the society so far. However, we cannot afford to become complacent. We must continue to educate our people and to cooperate with government and the relevant authorities to avert potential social ills that could ruin our beloved country. Some people have also expressed concern about the numerous concessions that have been given to the resort. One must recognize that these concessions were necessary in order to help attract the institution to Nevis. Several countries throughout the world would have been delighted to attract a hotel of such high international repute to their shores. The concessions we have granted to the resort are similar to what any of the other countries competing for investment capital would have given to lure the investors into choosing their islands to build this gorgeous structure. Despite the many concerns raised by the general public, we have not lost in the bargain. The benefits to Nevis are manifold. The hotel has already employed about 500 locals, and the unemployment rate in the Nevis economy has been reduced to virtually nil. Restaurants and other hotels on the island have been deriving substantial benefits as a large number of guests at Four Seasons have been encouraged to dine out. During 1991, government expects to collect directly not less than over $1.5 million in accommodation tax from the Four Seasons Hotel. and in subsequent years, the amount is expected to increase to approximately $3 million. This increase in revenue will certainly help government to improve the infrastructure of the island so that we can continue to move forward to economic prosperity. Over the years, Nevisians on leaving school have been reluctant to pursue a career in the hotel industry, as much scope for development and advancement not provided in the smaller inns of Nevis. With the Four Seasons Hotel employing so many workers, government will be able to widen its education program and focus more on subject areas that will prepare our young people to take up top management positions in hotels in the years ahead. We are also hoping that the high standard of training provided by Four Seasons will filter down to the other areas in the private and public sectors, and hence improve the overall efficiency of labor in the country. Agriculture in Nevis has suffered over the years because of the inability of farmers to find a tangible market for their produce. The Four Seasons Hotel can now provide that market, at least partially. The onus is now on the farmers to improve the quality of their produce and work together with the agricultural department to exploit the opportunities that the Four Seasons Resort provides. With the opening of this resort, we do not claim to have attained the pinnacle of success. We cannot sit smugly behind the progress that has been achieved so far. The door must be kept open, and the pathway must be paved for the continuing economic advancement of this country. I am happy to report that potential investors are now being attracted to Nevis to exploit business opportunities. Government has already held preliminary discussions with another first-class hotel chain that is showing interest in starting operations in Nevis. This clearly demonstrates that the island has great potential for the future. Despite the tremendous opportunities that are being created, I must remind everyone that a key element in economic development is that the people of the country must be major participants in the development process. Foreigners can be and inevitably are involved as well, but they cannot be the whole story. Further, if growth in the economy only benefits a tiny, wealthy minority, whether domestic or foreign, it is not true development. It is our duty to ensure that the benefits derived from tourism expansion permeate every level of society. However, I must warn Nevisians that participation in the process of development does not only imply participation in the enjoyment of the benefits of development, but also the production of those benefits. In other words, one must produce first, then consume afterwards. I therefore appeal to all Nevisians to improve productivity. Some people have been criticizing the management of Four Seasons for filling most of the management positions with workers from overseas. One must recognize that the hotel has just started operating, and there is the need to fill key positions with trained and experienced workers in order to provide the high standard of service for which Four Seasons is renowned. However, the majority of these workers will be leaving after a period of 2 years, and a number of management positions will become vacant. Local people employed at the hotel must be patient and should utilize every opportunity to improve their management skills so that in the future they could prove themselves worthy and capable to take up more senior positions. I also appeal to the local businesses to start working together in order to maximize the benefits from tourism. The Nevis economy is performing fairly well, and a number of big businesses from outside are now trying to expand their operations into Nevis in order to penetrate the local market and create a niche for themselves. It means that the small local businesses could be faced with extreme competition and be forced out of the marketplace. Government is willing to offer assistance to protect the local businesses from unfair competition. But businessmen will also have to try and help themselves. It is time for the businessmen in Nevis to pool their resources and ideas together to ward off the threat posed by the large business concerns that are now setting up operations in Nevis. It is time for the service sector to improve the standard of its operations. The caliber of tourists being attracted to Nevis will need a high standard of service. If the service cannot be provided by Nevisians, then others will come in and try to take over the service industry. Let the Four Seasons Hotel be an example to all of us that we should be unstinting in our efforts to provide the standard of service which at least equals or even surpasses that of this, so that the tourists will feel compelled to book a return visit to the island even before they depart. The island of Nevis is small and has limited resources, but its people must be determined to move forward. One economist marveled at the success of Japan when he asked, how could a country with so little natural resources and about the size of one state in America develop into a world economic power? This lesson teaches us that we could be small in size and still be strong economically. But the equation of the Japanese success includes such variables as hard work, dedication, cooperation, and teamwork. Let us adopt these attributes and work together to make Nevis a better place for all. I must now take this opportunity to express the sincere gratitude of this administration to all those responsible for ensuring the success of this project. Special mention must be made of the investors, Jumes, Tobishima, and Four Seasons, who showed confidence in the Nevis Island government and readily agreed to make Nevis the first Caribbean island in which a five-star hotel is constructed. The late Fred Kelsick and Mr. Xavier Nice, who introduced Jumes to Nevis, must not be forgotten. The efforts of former ministers of the Nevis Island administration must be commended highly. And I speak of Mr. Arthur Evelyn, Mr. Uriel Swanston, and Mr. Ivor Stevens, who were actively involved in the initial negotiations with the investors to win the contract for Nevis. Congratulations are also extended to present ministers, the Honorable Victor Martin, Joseph Parry, and Phineas Griffin, for building on the foundation provided and seeing the project to completion. The construction workers, jalters, and local contractors must also be praised for building this hotel in record time. Lastly, I must thank the people of Nevis for their patience and understanding during the time this hotel was being built. The Nevis administration has worked untiringly over the years to improve the standard of living of the people of Nevis. We have been traveling through a tunnel filled with darkness, gloom, frustration, and disappointments. But we are now seeing a ray of light gleaming in the distance. The construction of this exquisite hotel does not signify the end to all of our problems, but the yoke of despair has been partly broken, and we can look to the future with confidence as we chart the course of this country into the 21st century. Let us build on this foundation, which could serve as a tremendous catalyst to economic development in this beautiful island we call the Queen of the Caribbean. I thank you.
That's the late Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel from the speech that he gave at the opening of Four Seasons back in February of 1991. And every time I hear this speech, I get chills again. In this speech, you heard Dr. Daniel talk about discussions already commenced with another hotel. And you look back 35 years later, and CCM has not been able to bring a full cup to Nevis. They have promised 30-something hotels. By my count, it's 31. And of those 31 hotels, they have not been able to bring one to Nevis. On the eve of the 2006 elections, they promised that they were going to have a hotel down here at Penny's as well. And they sold 1 square mile of Nevis to Newfound. The funny thing about it is that since Four Seasons opened February of 1991, before the hotel was built, as soon as news got out that there was going to be a hotel, hold your calls, please. Hold the calls. Before the hotel was built, the CCM lime machine was so effective. They started making all kind of noise. They had issues because some swamps down there at Penny's were going to be removed for the construction of the hotel. I heard a young lady saying where the mosquito gonna breed. Imagine that. And then they started telling people that the NRP administration under Dr. Daniel had negotiated with Four Seasons that the foreigners would be paid in US and the locals would be paid in EC. And that the locals must demand that they be paid in US dollars. Imagine, of those 500 and something people who were working at Four Seasons since the hotel opened, some of them had never worked. Some people went down there to work who had never seen work a day in their life. As Mama would say, never see them chop stroke. But the hotel was opened. And by the next election, the next year, Sim Daniel was so sure that, listen, we brought a 5-star hotel to Nevis. We brought employment for more than 500 people. This is the icing on the cake. It is time for us to go to the polls and say to the people, vote for us again. Because we have already started discussions with the Caribbean Development Bank for the seaport and for roads and the airport. Things gonna be nice in Nevis. And the people of Nevis decided, hey, listen, let's vote against the government that has brought so much prosperity to us. And I think that is one of the things that Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel could never understand up to the point when he died. How people could be so ungrateful. How they could listen to foolishness. And 35 years later, I am here to say to you that Dr. Daniel was on the right track, because I want to fast forward from 1991. And if you come with me to the year 2008, when the Four Seasons and other hotels were closed down, and what another NRP premier had to do, we're talking about Joseph Parry, to get the Four Seasons to stay in Nevis. The people were ready to walk away to get the hotel to stay in Nevis. What he had to do. And again, the election after that, you had a whole ton of people who said, listen, I prefer to be ungrateful and go ahead drink the blue Kool-Aid. I listened to a gentleman at Four Seasons when the hotel was about to be reopened after the 2008 hurricane and so on, a fellow named Jim Fitzgibbons. And I think that I have him here, so let me play him.
I'm president of Four Seasons Worldwide Hotel Operations. I was associated with the resort back in the early 90s and always felt great about Nevis. And it was quite shocking when two things happened. One, we were hit by the hurricane, which we all recognize, and also the financial crisis that hit the world. It was a very difficult 2 years, but yesterday we got all the employees excited, and everyone's looking forward to an opening. And that opening couldn't have been possible without the support of the government and Premier Perry, and that type of support really hit a pivotal stage of decision making. And honestly, if we hadn't had that support, I just don't know would the resort be open today and would be enjoying I think the fruits for the economy as we go forward. Okay. Leadership is about decision making.
Okay.
And everybody, and I'm involved in leading people, and the Premier's involved in leading a country, and it's about making a decision and being definitive in what you want and sticking to it. Mm-hmm. And don't be swayed by what's going on, and that we could rely on that, which was really important. And I know for us, the operator, for the banks involved, to find that the government here in Nevis and in the Federation was very unequivocally supportive of Four Seasons. That gave everybody a vote of confidence to go forward, and it wouldn't have happened. Kudos to the everyone who elected him, and kudos to all the government and the Premier, and but kudos to the people of Nevis. It's you have a reputation that you should all be very proud of.
Jim Fitzgibbons didn't have a horse in the race, and there was he calling it. It's about decision making, and he was very fulsome in his support for Joseph Parry and the work that he and the NRP government in Nevis did to ensure that Four Seasons not only stayed in Nevis, but that they were able to reopen in 2 years' time. Gentlemen?
Allow me to add to what you said. Because during the time when the announcement was made, yes, the CCM was up in arms against it. And then when they realized that the construction actually began, they told the Nevisian workers not to go down there to look work. But the work went on, the hotel was built, and then again they told the Nevisian people not to go down there to look any work. The hotel is built on a pond, it's going to sink, and it's going to collapse and you're going to die. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the people did not study them. They went, they got employment, and this is up to this moment. The second thing I want to allude to is the last tape that was played. Because I remember when the hotel was about to close and Mr. Parry announced that it will close, and the present premier was up in arms against him, called him fast, he must keep out of the people's business and what's not. And some people joined him. When it was announced that the hotel was going to be reopened, or before it was announced, they were saying that the hotel came under NRP and it's going to close under NRP. They really wanted, the system wanted it closed. They wanted it gone. When it came back on stream, the present premier, he was arguing that NRP did nothing. I think that was striking and very effective when Mr. Fitzgibbon came out and made it abundantly clear that had it not been for Mr. Parry and his team, the hotel would have been closed. But they wanted it closed. And the present premier was saying that Mr. Parry did nothing, and his administration gave them no credit. And so I'm happy for those things, but people need to be reminded that CCM meant nothing good for Nevis. But the striking thing for me, up to now, I still cannot fathom that this hotel was open, and according to Dr. Daniel, it was going to break, it broke the despair that was over Nevis, because there was a livelihood came to Nevis. And somehow CCM was able to convince Nevisians to vote against a man and a party who brought us out of despair and promise us that these things are already in negotiation, so come and stream to add to what we have. And somehow we still voted against that administration. I cannot understand it up to this moment.
What is the moral of the story?
The moral of the story for me is that the NRP has proven that it has been best for Nevis. It has worked on behalf of, for me, work on the behalf of the people of Nevis.
That is a story, but that's not the moral of the story.
Okay, then you're going to give me the moral. And the people did not appreciate it. Up to this moment, I'm not sure that they appreciate it. It is unfortunate.
The long and short is this. CCM was facing a definite defeat. If Four Seasons had succeeded. And so what they did, they couldn't stop the hotel. So what they did, they stopped the people by telling the people all manner of evil about the personality of Dr. Daniel and about the NRP. Every time there is a significant investment in Nevis, the NRP rises up, the CCR rises up and tell the people it's no good. Four Seasons was only one. Then you had the fisheries complex, you had geothermal, all the fuel storage, all significant feathers in the cap of NRP. But rather than try to bring development, which you can brag about, you try to destroy development that somebody else brings.
True.
So for me, the moral of the story is not everybody who talks to you is your friend. Not everybody who thinks that, not everybody you think are telling you good things are telling you in your best interest. People like Brantley and the late Vance Amory, to me, they are enemies of Nevis. They are traitors of Nevis. Because you can't be telling me that you love Nevis, but you're going to put politics ahead of the development of Nevis? That you are going to strike out developments that can create the kind of livelihoods and build families and build lives? Then you should be doing something to surpass what NRP did, not try to bring down what NRP did.
Great point.
You see, and this is the kind of leadership you heard being transferred to those voices, to the voices of Dr. Daniel. Real leadership would never ever try to destroy what should be built. Real leadership would never try to tear down rather than build up. And the evidence is clear as day that this has been the modus operandi of CCM since their conception.
True.
Right? They never came out of a struggle. They came out of selfishness. They came out of a hunt for power, for personal gain, not for the development of people. And there you have the dichotomy between what CCM stands for, even today, to what NRP has done, demonstratively done, for the people of Nevis. Every major institution in Nevis came through the arms of NRP. Every last one. And we all know them by heart by now. I don't have to repeat them. But contrast that with what CCM has always tried to do. Take brilliant ideas, take brilliant development concepts and destroy them because they don't want NRP to get any credit, as if NRP is the entirety of Nevis. NRP is working for the people of Nevis, on behalf of the people of Nevis. And so when you criticize a project and destroy a project, who are you hurting? I mean, you get elected, then what? What do you bring? What do you bring? Empty hands?
You don't have to bring
empty
anything.
barrels? And so while you can continue to deceive people, because they say, you know, you could tell 99 truths, but that one lie, people believe it.
True.
It's a sad thing, but it's a human frailty that we will believe the one thing that is a lie. And the 99 truths are of no consequence. It's just who they are. And they have not changed 1 inch.
What does that say about us as a people then? That we see a person and a group working in your best interest. You has benefited from their work in every sense of the word, but yet you turn around and take a sword and chop the head off.
But I don't think Dr. Daniel or Mr. Parry or Arthur Evelyn or anybody along that line of thinking would ever conceptualize a political party who professes to lead Nevis into the 21st century would take such a deleterious turn on the people of Nevis. I don't think anybody would conceptualize that the CCM would have sunk so low as to try to destroy the future of Nevisian workers. Because before Four Seasons, let's face it, before Four Seasons, a lot of women folk couldn't find jobs.
Correct.
A lot of persons now had bankable worth where they can go and borrow against their jobs to build a home, to buy a car, to buy a piece of land. Four Seasons was the facilitator of a lot of development because people now can go and say, listen, here's my employment slip. This is my salary. This is how much I make. I need a loan. And you can see the evolution of households in Nevis post Four Seasons. You saw the evolution, the strength of communities on Nevis.
And you are absolutely right, because along with Four Seasons came the Housing and Land Corporation. And so with employment...
Well, prior to, 7 years before.
Okay, with employment you're able to buy land, because that is one of the mantra of Daniel. I am going to empower my people through employment, land ownership, and education and training. And that is exactly what he did.
I think one more point I think I have to make it clear. We really need to be more sophisticated in our thinking. You know, and perhaps it is somewhat the fault of leaders who do not challenge adversity sufficiently. Because when you don't challenge the nonsense that comes out of a government, of opposition, if they repeat it enough times, people start to believe it.
People start believing.
The same thing that happened in 2012, 2011, 2012, when they were spilling this nonsense about NRP don't like foreigners and blah, blah, blah. Same nonsense. We did not challenge it then. I don't think we sufficiently challenged it in 1991, and therefore truth got buried on the lies. And so we really need to start thinking more critically as a people, not just us as politicians, but a raw, wider thinking, and start asking the question: is he telling the truth? What proof has he brought to say these things? Where's the evidence? I think we need to start thinking like that.
Absolutely. Now, it took CCM 35 years to admit that the Four Seasons Hotel brought great benefits to Nevis. And let me play a clip from the Deputy Premier at the cocktail on Saturday night.
Deputy Premier, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, Permanent Secretary. Deputy Premier, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, John Hanley, and the CEO of the Nevis Tourism Authority, Andia
What's up with my phone, gentlemen?
Andia Raveria joined the management and the staff of Four Seasons Resort Nevis on Saturday, February 14th to celebrate the hotel's 35th anniversary. The resort hosted a cocktail reception to honor its members of staff who have served for 35 years. Avi Pukan,
Gentlemen, that went back to the beginning, and I really don't want it from the beginning, so I'm just going to tell you that he finally admitted that the Four Seasons did exactly what Dr. Daly just said. Allowed workers the opportunity to take their pay slip to banks and to turn that into loans, which became mortgages for houses, for land, for cars, for sending their children away to universities. All of that happened because the NRP dared to imagine that a 5-star hotel could be brought into an island like Nevis, which didn't have a proper seaport, does not have a deep water port to bring in tourists, and had a very short runway. All of that happened because Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel and his team said, no, we will encourage the hotel to get their own boats and to bring their guests from St. Kitts via boat into Nevis. And that happened for a long time before American Eagle started to bring those passengers through San Juan in Puerto Rico. But I just want to remind you that the Four Seasons Hotel was brought to Nevis by the Nevis Reformation Party. We'll go and play some ads because an hour is gone. And then when we come back, we are going to look at other things.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
It's time for Tell Me.
Number one political talk show.
We're back here on Tell Me, and we're going to continue the rest of the program. And the Premier at his press conference spoke about the broiler facility.
The broiler facility, we are underway. I'd invite you to go up and take a look, Ms. Budgeon, and take some pictures for Von Radio, because the report I got is that we are underway. The construction is progressing. And I'm very pleased. As you know, we've had a lot of delays on that due to redesign and all kinds of things. But currently, I'm totally on the way. I regret I don't have although they're filing reports now every week, I regret I didn't look at it before I came to the press conference. But I can confirm that construction has started and is well underway. And so we hope that that will proceed.
Listen, my friend Alfred Tyrrell, when he gets angry, he don't swear, but he like to call people a particular name. I'm told I can't say it. But the Premier knew that he was going to go to the press conference. He set the date for the press conference. He invited the press. He ought to have known that a question would come up about the poultry processing plant. And he said, while I get regular reports, I didn't bring them with me. I didn't even bother to read them. But, you know, Miss Budgeon, you could go up and take pictures. And so I went and I took my own picture. Daily, you have built more than one structure. Tulu, you understand construction. I have been around a couple of houses being constructed. This is just coming out of foundation. This is a facility that they have been threatening to have on Nevis for years. I am told that they say, give us another 5 years and we'll be able to produce chicken for the market from this facility. Daily, you're the man who brought this whole idea to the people of Nevis. Tell me, you're impressed?
Well, from what I'm hearing, the original contractor is no longer the contractor.
Oh, the Canadians?
I understand they contracted to a subcontractor to a New Vision company.
Okay.
And the subcontracted to another. So there seems to be some trouble in the camp regarding a lot of the construction issues. They've had to do some serious redesigns, recalculation based on the kind of materials that are available. I'm just hoping that they would have gotten permission and corrections for the design changes with physical planning, so we do not end up in a worse situation going forward. But there is trouble in the camp regarding some construction issues, and I said that is a fact. I am not certain when the due date is because they are so far behind. But greater to the problem, Carla, is the fact that then after the building is built, what then?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you should be able to walk and chew gum while you're doing the building. Where's the conversation about the farmers? Where do the farmers fit in? You're going to complete the building in a couple of years and then have a conversation with the farmers. So you have another delay. It makes no sense. And we've been saying this for the longest time that they must have a comprehensive policy as how they're going to build out this industry. It's more than a processing plant. It's a lot of moving parts. You need to know how they're going to be integrated. You need to know how the feed and the chickens and what do you call them now? The baby chicks, the broiler chicks. Are you going to hatch them here or are you going to bring them in? You know, what is the concept for the feed distribution? What is the concept for the marketing? You know, where the farm's going to be built? Is there a fund to help the farmers construct? You know, what's going to happen if the government does not have a comprehensive policy? You're going to find a few very wealthy people who has deep pockets and going to put down a 600, 800,000 foot pen, 40,000, 50,000 birds and dominate the market. You're not going to have a widespread program. You're going to have a very concentrated program with those who can afford to build and outfit their farms. And then the government takes up the responsibility of processing and marketing. It is crazy nonsense. So they really need to sit down as the government, invite stakeholders in, invite consultants in, and create the best possible industry, bulletproof as much as possible. So I'm not at all happy with what I'm seeing. Besides the delays, that is, delays go on, delays come. But show me the build out. Show me what the industry will look like. What does it entail?
Dr. Daly, the equipment has been here going on 4 years.
Yes.
They have been talking about this plant for about 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
The NRP concept was totally different.
Yes.
It was a turnkey operation.
Yes.
Much cheaper.
Yes.
You're talking about $1 million.
Yeah.
These people are now up at $1.5 million for the building. Not including the equipment. So you're over $2 million for an operation that should have been $1 million.
Listen, I can't see how this is going to succeed the way it's being constructed and thought through. For a fresh industry such as this, you have to walk through with the farmers. You have to hold their hands until they can stand on their feet. All right, and the idea we had was basically a concept where you as the Ministry of Agriculture, you provide the inputs. The farmers do the growing. You collect the birds, you process them. Everybody get their fair share. All right, and then you can morph into other avenues of development because there's a lot of spin-off, not just from farm to the processing plant to the table, but there's also a lot of value addition that can go into effect. How do you treat your waste your blood and your guts and your feathers. Those have value, significant value. What do you do with those? Do you bury them or burn them? What do you do with them? You know, what is the idea for harvesting that value? What do you do with all of the birds that you're processing? Are you going to be doing specialty cuts? Are you going to be doing value additions such as smoked chicken, chicken halves, rotisserie chicken like they're doing now at the abattoir? What are you going to do? What is the plan? Because the real money is not so much in the gross value you get from the birds, the live birds or the dead bird, but in value addition. How do you add value to that product to make it more viable and sustainable for farmers and for the government and for the operation? Because you're going to take a lot of money to get it done.
I have to ask you a question. Who is advising the government?
I don't know.
No, it's not me. I believe the government is advising itself.
I hope it's not Eric. I just pray to God it's not Eric. You know, it's already a disaster.
But who is there can advise him inside the government? Which one inside they can take the lead?
Tulu, Dr. Daly offered to do it for free. I don't support him. I want to be his manager because I want to implement the charges.
You want pay?
Yes, because there are people in government who are working for significant sums of money and not doing anything. So I don't think that he should volunteer his services for free. He could volunteer them to me for free, and then I tell him what the charge is, because he should be paid for his expertise.
But it's interesting to hear the Premier trying to beat his chest, because after 7 years or so, there's a foundation. When I listened to the tape, Dr. Daniel said that from the conception, the negotiation, to the building, the opening of the Four Seasons Hotel took 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 4 years.
How long?
And you have 100 and...
How long the hospital has been going?
Hospital going now for
2014.
Almost 9 years.
And then started construction 2017.
And so he's beating his chest and laughing like a clown somewhere there that feel good about this object failure.
But the thing that gets me, we come back again to the same scenario where they are doing everything to fail. And I don't understand it. If you don't have the requisite expertise to design a program from ground up, all T's crossed, I's dotted, you need people who know. Show me where they have done that homework.
That's what I'm
Show me
asking.
the committee they have put in place to deal with that. I'm not talking the flying a guy in here for 2-day consultation and fly him out. Show me the committee that's on the ground that can deal with the farmers, who can deal with the marketers, the wholesalers. Show me the committee that can deal with the entire unit.
So you're looking at the flow of the unit.
Of course, you have to. You can't just do everything in isolation. It's foolish. You're going to lose money, you're going to lose time. And that is what we've been trying to tell this government. You're going wrong. You are going wrong, and you can't seem to stop yourself from going wrong. Because, you see, when you're full of pride, it kills you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gentleman who came here from England years ago. I went to a wedding. He lived in England for a lot of years. Came back for a wedding. And he went around, and, you know, traditional wedding. There was fried Johnny cake and saltfish and all kind of things. And I said to the gentleman, "Oh, you could have some Johnny cakes. They're nice and hot." And he's pushed up his nose. I don't know those things.
Mm-hmm. On the vision.
And then halfway out the hall, he collapsed. And when his hat fell off, the Johnny cakes rolled out. He was too full of pride
to eat them there.
So he put them in his hat.
And the heat
caused him a brain he had a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
So it just demonstrates how pride can kill people. What's unprideful, if there's such a word, about eating Johnny cake?
You pride not gonna kill the same people though, because them not dead. Listen, let me go to the Premier's press conference again, and let's hear what he had to say about Destiny.
The Destiny project, we are also waiting on that, Mr. George. We sent since the 23rd of December to the federal government indicating that after our own exhaustive stakeholder engagements and engagements with the general public, exhaustive engagements with the developers, the back and forth, that we finally had arrived at a position where we were comfortable, and we sent them that agreement asking, of course, for their sign-off, because that is the scheme of the legislation. 23rd, yesterday, would have marked 2 months since that matter is now with Basti, and we keep following up with them to say to them that we need a response. We have been concerned, and I say it now because it is true, that this project does not die due to neglect in Basti. And I've said that because this is a Nevis project. This project will unleash over $1 billion worth of investment. When I travel around Nevis now, the question that I get from people is, when is the project going to start? And we are being held up because Basti needs to take their position in relation to it. So I say that so far as we are concerned, we've done the work. It is a Nevis project. The impact of it is largely going to be in Nevis in terms of any jobs and economic advancement. But St. Kitts will also benefit because economic development in one part of the country is also economic development in the whole of the country. But we are talking about multiple percentage expansion of our GDP. We're talking about significant jobs, thousands of jobs. We're talking about significant revenue generation. And just to give you an idea of how anxious people are, the recent numbers I saw said over 1,500 persons had already signaled their interest in working at Destiny. So even people now who already have jobs are telling me that as soon as they're ready, they're headed to Destiny in terms of their work. So there's a public expectation and anticipation that this is going to happen. The federal government has had it now for 2 months, and we're waiting on them patiently, bearing in mind that we have certain, how should I say, there are certain deadlines, because these individuals have to conclude certain things in terms of land purchases, certain financing arrangements that they have to conclude, and those deadlines are not going to be forever. Those deadlines are apparent. I've seen in St. Kitts that the federal government has appointed one committee, they say, to look at the SSZ. That really has nothing to do with this, because that committee can only propose amendments going forward. They've also said now that they've proposed some other committee to look at the Destiny agreement itself. Why, I'm not quite sure, because even during the parliamentary debate, the understanding was that if it's a project on St. Kitts, then the Prime Minister would appoint an oversight body. If it's a project on Nevis, the expectation is that the Premier would appoint an oversight body, and I've already signaled, Mr. George, that I intend to do so. You asked who the members were. There are no members yet because that body has not yet been constituted. But I do intend to appoint the oversight body to deal with the implementation of the project. Recall that under the legislation that was passed, you can have an oversight body to do one of two things. One, to review a project, or two, to review the implementation of the project. We opted to, in Nevis, to look at the review for the implementation. That is to have a body in place that ensures that everybody's feet are held to the fire and that the project proceeds as planned. So that is where we are, but we have not yet activated that. My only effort in that regard as far as to write to the opposition, asking them to nominate, and both opposition members in the parliament will have written back to indicate their course of action, and so we have stayed our hands on that until we have greater clarity. But right now, Mr. George, we are waiting on St. Kitts. Federal government, that is where matters lie, and this project is waiting patiently to proceed once we can get some response from
it. The only thing Mark did not do yet in that 4 minutes and 28 seconds that he spoke answering a simple question is to cuss on bad word. He did everything else. Just ramble around and around. Mark is a smart lawyer in a suit with an empty head. 4 minutes and 28 seconds to say that, hey, listen, I went down to the federal parliament with my 2 colleagues and I supported through parliament the Special Sustainability Zone Act. Before the Special Sustainability Zone Act, Mark Brantley could have had Destiny, the project here in Nevis, without any fuss. Sim Daniel didn't need it for 4 seasons. But he's smarter than anybody else. So he gave control of developments in Nevis to St. Kitts. And then he's making a whole ton of noise because Dr. Drew is keeping him back. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you tonight?
To God be the glory. Gentlemen, I'm listening to the Premier. And please make me understand, because I don't have no sense. What is the Prime Minister supposed to sign? If the Premier keeps saying it's a Nevis project, why is the Prime Minister of St. Kitts have to sign, and it seems before him the Premier? That doesn't make no sense to me. Because if it's a Nevis project, he didn't say he signed anything. But he wants the Prime Minister to sign. And the Prime Minister, I don't know him, he don't know me, and I don't favor him, and he don't favor me. But he rightfully doing what I think is the right thing. He have to know what he going to sign. He have to go look through here and look through there and look all over the place before he do anything. Because at the end of the day, the Premier is going to be the one who said it's St. Kitts' fault. We say it very often. And this is one time I think I'm supporting the Prime Minister. Because if it is a Nevis project, as the Premier so like to say, he didn't say he signed anything and sent it down to get a second signature. He sent it directly to the Prime Minister. So if it doesn't go well, who do you blame then? The Prime Minister of St. Kitts.
Exactly right.
Well, let me tell you this story, right? If the Prime Minister even sign it tomorrow, there's another signature needed. And this is not story on the street, this is story coming out of the sitting room. There are people in high places who is tying destiny to the airport. You let me tell you? And when big money is involved, you have a big say and there is big tax. And so if the Prime Minister sign it tomorrow, there's going to be another held back because destiny is tied to the airport project. You realize nothing is happening? Well, let us wait and see. Because it would stay even longer if the Prime Minister signed a document. Because who have something called the shots? You hear me tell you? And the shots is not called by no division. The Premier gave the Prime Minister the privilege to call the shots. And money, what is supposed to be given to the airport project, they could call shots too. And shots have been called. I will talk to you in private. Good night and goodbye.
Good night and goodbye.
Let me say this. I applaud the Prime Minister for taking the position that he has taken. This, as they have advertised, is a transformational, once-in-a-lifetime kind of project. First in the OECS, first in CARICOM, first in the Caribbean. So it behooves the government to make sure, given the widespread opposition and all the question marks, to exercise utmost restraint to ensure that every aspect, people have a voice. Every question is answered. Clearly, the Prime Minister is unhappy with the response, worldwide, the island-wide response, also both on St. Kitts and Nevis, regarding people's perception of the Destiny project. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone this extra step to seat an independent oversight body. Clearly, he is not comfortable with it. But of course, he's going to kick the can down the road, like I said last week, until after elections. I don't think he would ever dare sign it. But I would want the Premier to say to us, yes, I've signed the agreement. He has said everything but that. Yes, I've signed it. And I've sent it down to the Prime Minister for his signature. At which point he comes back to go into the house here on Nevis for debate. Why doesn't he tell the people of this he has signed it? all the talk. He has never said, I have signed the development agreement. When he sent it down to Prime Minister Drew on December 23rd, the Prime Minister sent it back. The attending documentation and the signature were missing. But you want the Prime Minister to sign something, so the responsibility goes on him, not on you. So it's no Senkit's fault why the project is being delayed. Not his. Not his. So the point is now, he's saying that this independent oversight body, he doesn't understand why they need it. The legislation prescribes it in the first instance. And you would think that as a Premier of Nevis wanting to protect the best interests of Nevisians, that you yourself would have fomented an independent oversight body to look at the proposal unprejudiced, without any political oversight, nobody handing over your shoulder. Where is that independent oversight report that says to the Premier the figures given by Johnson are talking about GDP growth and employment and development? All those things here are spot on. Where is that report from any committee that has verified what Johnson has given him as to be factual? That is what Dr. Drew is now trying to do, to put a panel of experts to look at the proposal in its entirety. So when the report comes back, you can say, yes, I am satisfied that these figures, these projections of revenue, growth of GDP, everything else are spot on.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Powell. Good evening, Dr. Daly. Good evening, my good brother Tulu. Mr. Powell, I would like to know how we can have a leader of the opposition in the federal house and still the leader of an island, Nevis. Premier Brantley is the premier of Nevis and leader of the opposition. I'm going to tell you this one. I might think that a joke I'm making. He don't bring down the Honorable Joseph Parry. He bring down the Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas. He bring down the Honorable Timothy Harris. And right now he's working very hard to bring down Mr. Joe. And it's going to happen because opposition is strong in the house and he's going to support them and he's not going to support them. A leader of a country should not be an opposition leader. Give this leader to somebody else. Mr. Powell, if I go just say, boy, get the man this up, he's going to do it. He's going to do it because he has nothing else to do but to bring down people. May God bless you all. Thank you very much. I'm going here. If I go I'm going to say, boy, Jerry Dental also. Good night.
Thank you very much. I want to look very quickly at part 5 of the Act. And it says, and this, you're talking about the conditions precedent to development agreements. And very quickly, 1, the zone developer shall present an economic analysis by a reputable economic advisory professional, firm, or institution forecasting that the proposed special sustainability zone is likely to generate long-term economic opportunities, create permanent employment, attract foreign and domestic investment, and generate revenue for the benefit of the people of St. Christopher and Nevis for at least 10 years. And then it goes into part B and C and so on, deals with the environment and so on. And I want people to understand that all of these documentation, to the best of my knowledge, were missing from the document that was sent on the 23rd of December. So they didn't have the EIA. They didn't show how the zone developer plan to develop the necessary infrastructure, including utilities and facilities within the zone and so on. The requirement for the renewable energy, how they will maximize, minimize waste and promote and recycling and so on. All of these documents, I am told, were missing. They didn't show evidence of ownership or lease of or of agreement to purchase or lease the property and so on. And so the Premier said that he had a conversation with the Attorney General. I am told that they were told, listen, you send a half-boiled egg to St. Kitts and we like our egg properly boiled, hard-boiled. So you don't have the supporting documents. This document is not signed or anything like that. So we are sending it back. Do what you're supposed to do. Send us a full set of documents. And then he was asked about a question with respect to the discrepancy in dates. Let me play that clip.
February 19th, the Government Information Services say that the government has appointed an independent oversight body to pursuant to the laws of the Sustainable Development Act to oversee the Destiny project. And it states that on the 29th of January, it received a formal, the application with the supporting documents was formally submitted by the Nevis Island Administration Cabinet to the Federal Cabinet on the 29th of January 2026.
Well, I don't know what it is they're saying, but I can tell you that we sent on the 23rd of December. Reason why it's important? Because I said let us get it out of the way before the Christmas and the Carnival celebrations take over. I didn't expect the federal government to do anything because I figured the boys would have been in Juve, but I said that let us get it out of the way. So the date, that operative date that we have was the 23rd. What I can tell you, Mr. George, is that sometime in late January, the Attorney General did reach out to us asking us to put the information in a particular format, which we then did. So I'm not sure if that's the date that they're using to say that that's when they got it. But I can tell you that they would have received communication from us on the 23rd of December attaching the version of the agreement that we were comfortable with. Bearing in mind that this agreement has now gone through probably almost 40 versions by now that we were comfortable with. So that is the position. So it may be that what they're pointing to is when they requested that the information be formatted in a particular way. And we did that, and that was resent to them sometime in January at their request. But they've actually had that information and that agreement since the 23rd of August.
Here is the challenge. He's a lawyer. He ought to know better. And he like to take his hands off things and say, I have been told. But if he has been told by the legal department, normally documents like these, they are vetted by legal. They prepare them, they get them ready. And then however you're going to get them to St. Kitts, you get them to St. That's not hard. You have a federal office, you don't even have to go down to St. Kitts. You could drop them at the federal office and have them transmitted to St. Kitts. From the federal office, they go to St. Kitts every single week. But he's saying that, hey, listen, our date is the 23rd. But, Dr. Daly and Tulu, if I have a passport application form, which is not filled out properly, and I drop it in on the 23rd, and you call me on the late in January to say, hey, listen, fella, this ain't finished properly, and you didn't sign it. Am I supposed to say to the people in the passport office, hey, listen, even though I ain't fill it out properly and I ain't sign it, the date I'm working with is the 23rd of December? That makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
The question I have for you is quite simple. If he's comforted that the document is, that final version is what he wanted, that he sent down on the 23rd, who is it that vetted the proposal?
It has to be the cabinet.
Who in cabinet is an expertise in
None.
in accounting?
None of them.
Who in the cabinet is an expert in forecasting development, or saying to the people of Nevis, yes, I am satisfied that we have looked at the numbers and everything makes sense? Who in there?
None.
So there's no independent communication from anybody to the Premier to says, this is good. I believe the numbers of all these projections. I believe in the billions and millions of dollars. I believe everything they're saying. But you expect grown people to take your word that you have looked at the numbers and you are satisfied with the numbers, and therefore you the Mr. Prime Minister, you, Mr. AG, and you, the cabinet of St. Kitts, you should take my word for it.
And sign off.
And sign it off.
Just sign it and send it back.
But then, aren't you, as the federal government, as a co-signer, responsible? So
Of course.
If this thing blows up in court, who gets dragged into the court?
Okay then. Good evening, caller.
Gentlemen, I'm back here again. I am wondering if the Premier realized that he's dealing with an educated person as in the Prime Minister. He was told publicly by Jensen he wants things done before the year end. And as far as I'm concerned, it seems to me that he didn't care what he have, but he tells Jensen, well, I don't do it and I don't send it. Well, I don't know what the Prime Minister have with Jensen or whatever the gentleman's name is, but the Prime Minister could afford to do it the right way because nobody ordered him to do anything. I have never heard anybody come in this country and want to set up business and start trying round the weight already. And for me, I don't like it. I am a Nivijan. I don't like it. If you come, you got to work with me, not order me. And that is what I think had happened here. And then the order was carried out because the 23rd, how far is that from year end? And let me come back to the Premier. He said 1,500 people ready to go work. I wonder if you're talking about construction, or you're talking about wash and clean out and gardening. Because he said they're going to left their work. If it was a hotel, somebody would take a chance and say, well, listen, I am working in the garden and I want to up my scale in the eyes of the public. So I'm going to apply for a job as a receptionist or something that sounds higher. The money may even be more. But for 1,500 people, according to him, ready to give up their job, to go where? To do what? Because up to now, I am wondering if you're talking about the construction or if you're talking about jobs would be made available then. It appears to me that they don't even have the amount of land they need. So I don't even know why he keeps saying things to us because we're listening. But when I don't listen and I wake up in the night, I try to remember what somebody said and I break it down in my own kind of way. And I gonna say it loud and clear to the Premier. Mr. Premier, the 1,500 people tell you to give up their job to come go work over there, they're lying to you. Are you lying to us? Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, there was a piece today written in the New York Times, written by Atosa Araxie Ibrahimian. And in that piece, it looks very closely at the Destiny Project here in Nevis. And it says, the beachfront fantasy comes with a special twist. If Destiny receives the necessary government approvals, it will live by its own rules and regulations, though the precise structure of its government remains unclear. While Mr. Johnson's insists that Destiny would respect the Constitution of St. Kitts and Nevis, its special status would grant it privileges such as no taxes, the ability to conduct everyday transactions in cryptocurrency, and its own labor laws and police force. This innovative form of governance, he said, would augur a new era of prosperity in this quiet corner of the Caribbean. Europe has Monaco, and the Middle East has Dubai, he says, but the Americas still lacks their own equivalent. Mr. Janssens offered up some sweeteners as well, promising Nivision's part of the abundance, scholarships, revenue sharing, once the development sells enough housing units, and a 50 million investment in local infrastructure. Listen, I'm saying to Mr. Janssens, Bobby Island is out there. I don't think nobody in Nevis would object if you were to go over there, and you would.
I would.
So he can't get no property here then.
The boobies need a home.
Okay. So I leave that alone.
And people go out there gathering. We go out there catch
But you know the funny thing about this whole project, because it's a CBI project.
True.
So they're getting CBI money from us to buy our land.
Yeah. And develop the project.
Yeah. So you don't see anything wrong with that concept? That they're using our patrimony to raise money
to buy us out. And then
to
enslave us.
marginalize us. I mean, people really need to sit back and understand what this means. This is a CBI project. The 10,000 settlers will be all CBI citizens.
30,000 settlers.
Whatever it is. All right? They are CBI. The government collects the 50,000 in duties on costs and fees, but they get that value, $200,000 worth of value from us. We give it to them. Johnson goes around and sells them, use that money to finance his project.
Mm-hmm.
So what is he paying for? Where is his investment? Where is his money? It's like what we do with the MSR. We paid MSR $150,000 for each film they made here on Nevis. Come to about almost $4 million. They take that money and buy a blasted hotel in St. Kitts. I mean, are we deaf? Are we daft? That we don't realize that we are using our own money to mess up our own selves? I mean, if they came with their money, not CBI, came with their money, I wouldn't have that to talk about. But you're using my patrimony to buy my land and push me out.
And we employ you on your land.
I mean, do people understand what is really taking place here?
No.
I mean, I want somebody to tell me they don't understand, because it is clear as day. When a guy buys, a CBI project, any CBI project, he goes, he pays his money, he gets a unit. That's his unit. Say a hotel, he gets his unit. That's his. He can sell it, he can move on, whatever it is. The developer doesn't own that. You now own it. But with this case, Johnson is the mastermind. He has convinced the premier and perhaps the prime minister to make this a CBI. So the government gets a little bit of money, a couple dollars, $50,000 per passport. Johnson walks off with $200,000. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Walks off with $200,000, parlays that into buying the land, and then sells the land back to somebody else. So who's making the money?
They're making the money. Oh. It's the money making scheme. But in this case, some people are ignorant because they don't know. Some people are ignorant because they do not want to know. And according to Barack Obama, some people are willfully ignorant. Some of this thing, what happened here, there are persons who did not know. Johnson himself said he did not want anybody to know what he was scheming and doing. He didn't want us to know. Mark Brantley himself did not want us to know, because he knew when he said that he did not know. So we're out of that. Now that it has come full circle, where Johnson himself had said that we must look at this thing as a homeowners association. His key element for wanting destiny, he said, is for 10,000 families to rear their family in security. And secondly, where there'll be little or no taxes. Those are his focus. The premier is telling us something else different. And I'm saying that between here, some of us are ignorant because we care not to know. We listen to Mark Brantley with his lies and his deception, and that's it. Because if we listen to Johnson and listen to Mark Brantley, you realize Mark Brantley is telling us something completely foreign to what Johnson is saying to us. It's the very same thing that Vrea said before I heard anything about Johnson. I heard it from Vrea. And Vrea is saying that they must look at this project as the first libertarian country within a country, and he indicated that they paid the government plenty money for it.
The thing about it is this. When Johnson spoke about the value of the properties, which he said will be sold via auction, up to $3 million US per property. The lowest $500,000. So he is the one going to be walking off like a bandit in the whole scheme of things, because you are the minimum investment value per passport is $250,000. $50,000 of that is government money. $200,000 is left, but you're going to sell a property for $300,000 to $3 million.
All that is.
We must be stupid. We must be dumb, because then you combine the fact that we don't have there'll be no corporate tax, no social security payments. You know, they're using
no property tax.
No property tax.
Yeah, that's what he said.
No corporate tax, no property tax, nothing.
He said there'll be little or no taxing.
What will the people of Nevis get out of this deal?
According to Mark, a job.
He's saying 1,500 jobs to call it. You go into the website, destiny.com. You see any job listing anywhere?
Not one.
You see any jobs for any description?
None whatsoever. So the Premier said people are applying.
So what are they applying for?
To walk and kick stone.
What are they applying? I mean, these are the kind of things that really get under my skin. Because we're not a stupid people. You would ask these things if you want embroiled in politics. You would ask these things honestly. But you're allowing politics to blind you from what is really taking place.
You want me to apply for a job, but you don't tell me what is the job description. Good evening, caller.
It's me again, because I'm getting worked up tonight. Spencer had a dream. Spencer, who is my representative in St. Paul's, had a dream. He got the support from the former Prime Minister. That's how we know about it. Don't to Spencer in the hotel. He's part of the government. He won his seat in St. Paul's, and we know how. But of course, he's the honorable. But he's a Nevis man. So what? Johnson is better off to do it than a local. Because let Spencer get the opportunity to do the CBI issue, and let him do it then. Whoever he can bring in with it, let him do it. I prefer to see a local person, since a CBI, let a local person get the opportunity. And you know what is sad about this whole situation? I smell a rat. This man have a project for Nevis, and he say he means well. Where is he? He has refused to come to the people of Nevis and say one word. He once set up, he was supposed to be on a radio station, and then they say it would have been postponed until further notice. Nobody hear a word since. Let me tell you something. When you're doing something and you think it's the right thing, you do it, you shout from the rooftop. This man is under the bed and sending a message to somebody to tell us. At the end of the day, we don't know what you're going to get, because when somebody brings the message, he could easily say, it's not that I promised, it's not that I said. Because nobody hear nothing from him. You remember when Mr. Perry was bringing the fuel storage in the Park Village area? They had a meeting in the neighborhood. The gentleman spoke. They said what the intention was. They said what they were going to do. And the people in the audience had the right and the opportunity to ask questions and maybe make suggestions or maybe object. This man wants to bring this hell of a big project in Nevis. Nowhere else in the Caribbean. First of its kind. And refuse to say a word to us. Isn't that insulting? What the Premier tell himself? That is a red flag there. If he don't want to come with you, if he do not want to come to the front, something is not adding up. And the Premier should look at himself and say, no, I am not going to work with this. Come and talk to my people. We put him there to represent us. He said that they might have pushed him like a pram. Said what date he want and getting it work out. Lord Jesus, deliverance, dear Lord. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you. 40 different versions, and he can't bring anything from any of the versions to the people of Nevis.
But Carl, let me ask a question before you go on. Let me ask you a question. The Premier said he has all the permutations. He has seen every concept, 40 plus. And that he is quite satisfied, blah, blah, blah. One of the conditions of the SSZ being approved was the quantum of land. They had to prove ownership or lease or whatever it is, access to a quantum of land. We have not yet ascertained what that quantum is. We have no idea how much land they have acquired, whether by contract or whatever else. No idea. I'm asking the question because the Premier on his couple of weeks ago on his show when the pastor called in, so to all God, not an inch of land has been sold. The government has not sold anything. But if you are at the point now where you feel comfortable and have sent the document to the federal government, that will signal to us that the issue of land is settled. But the people have all the land they need to effect this project. Did he, at that point, when he sent the document in December, did he already sign over the 220 acres of land that they discovered through the cadastral surveys in the zone to Destiny, whether by cash or by barter or by trade or swap, as he calls it? Because that would have been a key, and he made it a point. They have now decided, this is during the House, that they have now decided to do this.
Swap. He
repeated it on the topics that they're going to swap, the 220 acres. They had it in the budget, they're going to sell piece for 10 million and swap the rest. Where are we with these kind of conversations? He put these things out there, and the media doesn't follow up. And these are very serious matters. You discovered 220 acres. You told us you discovered that. Purely by chance. I don't believe that, of course. How did you dispose of that land? Are those lands now consigned?
How did you get title, first of all?
How did you get title?
Yeah.
Start at the beginning. How did you get title?
Take it.
Because the normal course of action would be, once you discover land that is untitled, you post it in the paper for a period of time, inviting persons to come forward and lay claim. This was never done.
I haven't seen it.
Never done. I can tell you for a fact it was never done. Is that legal? Can somebody mount a legal challenge to that acquisition, knowing that the owners might be out there somewhere waiting to be notified, never got any notification, come back and discover the government had their land? Then what? I mean, this whole thing here is being handled in a veil of secrecy. I want the Premier to tell me, Kelvin Daly, I can vouch for those numbers given to me by Mr. Johnson regarding everything else about profitability and all. I can stand on them.
Good night, caller.
Good night, Carlisle.
How are you
good
tonight?
Good night, Tulu and Mr. Daly.
Done.
Very good show. Very informative. Carlisle, you feel as though no, he know what he doing? He's a liar, you know. He just playing game. He's a liar. I mean, such a thing happening over Nevis, and the public ain't even aware what's going on. Mr. Nelly, you see where these young people going? They don't care. They don't care. They want spliff in hand. They want spliff in hand, walk around Basti and Charlestown. And that's all. When don't they make people and do talk about give them this and give them that? You understand? This is where we're going. Very, very serious. Tulu, the message sent, you know, my boy.
All right.
The message sent, my brother.
Thank you.
We're going to fight like hell because they're going to get away with these things.
I'm in the fight.
We might not hear in a Tulu, but I could tell you, it's hell to tell the police. When these young people realize, boy, these things going to leave us and But the guy need all the money and he got a big house over in it. It's problem. It's real problem. This is truthful words, you know. This is truthful words. Can I have a good night and continue fighting?
Have a good night. Hi, good evening, caller. Good evening, caller. I think we lost the call. The lines are open. It's 4 minutes to 10 o'clock. But my partner don't tell me don't run away because we have issues to talk about. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening, Carlisle. And good evening to the panelists there. Good evening to the listening public. Gentlemen, I want to draw something to our attention. We have the Premier of Nevis. We have the Prime Minister of St. Kitts. We have a proposal called Destiny. The Premier is trying to sell us this proposal. The SSZ law says that, from what I understand, is that it should be passed in the Nevis Island Assembly first and then go to the Federal Assembly. Okay. It also says that the Premier may constitute an oversight body, a committee, to process this proposal, to look through this proposal, scrutinize this proposal. The Premier had an opportunity for Nivisions to scrutinize this proposal. He went by it because the law says may. So he chose not to. And he sent it to St. Kitts. Well, the Prime Minister also have a duty to scrutinize it. That's what he sent it for. The Prime Minister decided, in his wisdom, to put a committee together and to scrutinize the proposal. And I could hear the Premier belly aching saying that nobody from Nevis is on that committee. When he had an opportunity, he didn't think, the disrespect, he didn't think anybody in Nevis was qualified to look at the proposal in the Nevis environment that he says that nobody in St. Kitts know what happened in Nevis. As if he thinks only he want to know about Nevis. Only he wants smart. This kind of insulting behavior needs to stop. The Premier had an opportunity for Nivisions to be on a committee and he refused. He chose not to. Then you want to go pick fight with somebody else who doing their job. Mm-hmm. Say nobody in Nevis on the committee. I mean, this guy, you got to stop making yourself looking so dunce. You know, I mean,
you're laughing at my Premier.
No, but that's how he looked. I mean, you can't have an opportunity to. You don't think none vision is good enough to look at it in Nevis. You're ramming this down. You know what he said again? That was very insulting. He doesn't see anything to be gained by discussing this proposal with the landowners.
What?
He said that in the town hall meeting, and he said it in a press conference. Either both or one or the other. He said it. I was very insulted by it. He said he doesn't see anything to be gained by discussing this with the landowners. Landowners are asking for a meeting to discuss. He doesn't see anything to be gained. And I'm saying if they sit down and have a reasonable discussion with landowners, they could try and convince them to change their mind. But if you got your tail on your back and you're walking through and going like you own the place, you're not going to get no cooperation. And I know that the Premier know better than that, because I value him when it comes to diplomacy. So, if you want to continue to make yourself look the way he's making himself look, totally up to him, my brother.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you.
It's 10 o'clock, but we're still here because I still want to introduce another topic. But before I do that, let me make sure that our sponsors are happy.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Pinney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
We got to hear the Premier's update on geothermal before we leave.
The geothermal contract is not yet signed. We're still waiting on we have sent off, well, let me backtrack. We've sent off a signed agreement to the selected driller. The driller has not yet come back to us as of yesterday with their position on it. So we don't yet have a signed agreement by both parties. So we are waiting on that. And then, of course, I'll update as we go. But that is currently, as I speak today, a matter that is still being discussed to finalize.
The Premier spoke as if he had some kind of authority on geothermal when this whole geothermal thing is out of his hands. When he said we have sent off, who is we? Because the way that I look at it, the chief spokesman for geothermal is Congress.
Yes.
And the person who has ultimate responsibility is Dr. Drew.
Yes.
Because our Premier in Nevis has already given up control of geothermal. And I heard him trying to defend the whole issue sometime recently, when he was saying that people say that he has given up control of geothermal. Listen, this geothermal thing is going nowhere fast. Why? Because the Prime Minister has been making statements on geothermal, not him. And he likes to say that, listen, there is a committee which has been set up. And he ain't know who on the committee. But you can't know because you went down to the federal parliament and gave up control of geothermal to St. Kitts. And under the CCM, it is not going to come back to Nevis. And I warn you, you know, Brand recognized what had happened because he made a statement which caused some falling out.
But it's really of some concern, and it will be going forward an issue, believe it or not, my word, it will be an issue going forward as to the control of geothermal. It will be an issue going forward. My word.
It would be.
It can be a political issue going forward.
Let me put it this way. If any government in Charlestown were to hand over the geothermal project to Basti, that would be political suicide. And I put it as plain and as blunt as that.
Well, what it means is that CCM has committed suicide, because it is clear that the CCM allowed the geothermal to slip from its control to the control of the federal government, and there is no way that is going to come back to Nevis under CCM. No way.
Now you understand why Mark go to press conferences by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can't trust his subordinates to hold the line when they're under pressure. Just like when I targeted Troy at the town hall, and people are saying you should have gone after Mark, but you go after the weakest link. And Troy caved, revealed stuff that we would never discovered otherwise. So the issue of geothermal and
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carla.
How are you?
Dr. Daly and Tulu. How are you all doing?
I'm excellent.
First, let me express my condolences to all those families who have lost loved ones. You know, you have the Hunkins, then you have the Hanleys. My prayers are with them. Carla, did you pay attention to the Prime Minister's address at CARICOM and how he spoke so highly of geothermal?
Mm-hmm.
Was anybody paying attention to that?
I paid a little bit.
That geothermal is now the next big thing. And by the way, he looked around and he made mention of the Premier, but it doesn't look like the Premier was present at the opening ceremony or whatever it is they had there.
He was there in a corner. Remember he brought down his own government so that he could be in opposition. So he wasn't in a seat of prominence.
So geothermal has basically gone from it. And by the way, Carlisle, the Prime Minister also mentioned the geothermal project in Dominica and how advanced they were and so forth, you know. And what he failed to mention, at least I didn't hear it, I could be corrected if I'm wrong, that geothermal in Nevis started years before Dominica.
Correct.
He did mention that. Gave a half-baked speech with a lot of fluff and hollowness. You know, I am so disappointed with so many of the Caribbean leaders that said they were presenting, including the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who sounded like a drunk and who was just venting her personal gripes. You know, something very unbecoming of the office which she holds. But anyway, I am wondering, Carlisle, why does Mark really have press conferences at the end of the month? Because you would have noticed that Mark never has answers or never has updates to give. So what is the purpose of having press conferences at the end of the month? Because he's really not offering anything. And he always comes empty-handed. What I'm also disappointed with is whoever the journalists are that are present, they don't seem to be able to ask pressing questions and follow-up questions that demand answers. You know, so it's like, what is the point of these press conferences really at the end of every month where you just receive a bunch of lies and no updates really? It just doesn't make any sense to me. The other thing to Carlisle, there's a reason why CCM has never, or for the most part, not able to complete projects on time, within schedule, and within budget. Because their projects that they oversee are never fully vetted, never properly scrutinized, and they always have to be making several attempts at the same project. And you have classic examples in front of you. You have the poultry, you have the hospital, you have geothermal, which is out of our hands now, and now you have Destiny. You know, the premier, can Nivisions really trust Mark Brantley to vet a project that is supposed to be impacting our lives? I mean, the Prime Minister, I am no supporter of the Prime Minister, but he has a right to establish his committees and make sure, and he's doing this daily, only because of the backlash he has received and the pushback he has received from Nivisions at home and Nivisions within the diaspora. That is what has pushed them to establish these committees. So what he's really doing is buying time, and as you rightly said, Daly, kicking the can down the road. He doesn't want this to be an issue, you know, for whenever he decides to call a federal election, whether before 27 or slightly thereafter. I'm gone.
Thank you very much, Carla. Okay, we're showing 12 minutes past
Just
the
before
hour.
you go, Spencer indicated that any government in Charleston gave away geothermal to St. Kitts Basti, commit political suicide. Why is he still on the bus? Because he is on a bus that is has committed suicide, but he's still sitting on the bus.
Want to die with them. Good evening, caller.
Okay.
Good evening again, Mr. Powell. I would like to engage Mr. Daly for a little bit. Mr. Daly.
Yes, sir.
You remember me pointing out to you some time ago on your Saturday show that these 10,000 to 15,000 people proposed for the Destiny Project would be in a certain constituency.
Yes.
I started that conversation. And the backlash from the Premier, the response from the Premier was that he was going to make certain that these people cannot vote.
Mm-hmm.
How he was going to do that is beyond everybody eyebrow raised. I think he doubled down on that in the town hall meeting. Or he said it in the town hall meeting. Recently I heard him say in a press conference, forgetting what he said before, that everybody who buy a passport, pay for a passport, invest in a passport, they are entitled to full citizenship. And to me, full citizenship means they're going to vote. When you tell the Premier what he said one time, doesn't add up with what he said the other time, he get offended, start to shout you down. But the truth normally a fire to his tail. So I'm not surprised. Too many things that he says contradict each other. And so, you know, we don't know where. We don't know how to take this gentleman. I hope people paying attention. Because some people seem to be sold on the garbage he's selling. But nobody gonna fool me. Good night.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We're at the point where we can very well get into closing statements. But before we do that, I noticed that there is quite a bit of stir about a legal matter where it appears that an individual or a company, somebody who invested $50 million in the Hamilton Bank up the road up there, is trying to get their money back. And I'm told that that is not the only case where people are trying to get their money back from offshore banks here in Nevis and can't get back their money. And so they have now tried something where they are attempting to pull the Nevis Island administration into the matter. And so, you know, me, I went and I did a quick little search on the matter. And I am told that that is a long shot. Because from the legislation, if when you look at Section 8, it said, notwithstanding the provisions of any other law, no liability shall attach to the administration, the regulator, or any person acting on behalf of the administration or the regulator for anything done in the discharge or purported discharge of any function under this ordinance, unless it is shown that the act or omission was not done in good faith. So I'm told that it is a bit of a reach
and that is the charge.
Yeah. Well, that it was not done in good faith?
Yes, right.
Well, they're going to have to prove it in court.
Oh, yeah, that's the plan.
And is judicial review they're looking, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, but the matter is out there, and people are saying that, hey, listen, 50 is up to 150 million?
Well, in the first instance, the Intercoastal Finance Limited, they're asking for their $50 million plus $20 million in penalties and charges.
Mm-hmm.
So just in one case, there's 70 million. And then, of course, you have other depositors who have already gotten judgments in the court.
But they ain't get the money.
Who ain't get the money yet. So if this case is successful, it will be a watershed, because other persons would then start piling on and going after the government.
Mm-hmm.
And you rightly said, the onus is on the claimant to prove negligence on the part of the government that they did not act in good faith to regulate the bank. So they'll be looking at things like audited statements, audited reports, communication between the bank and the regulator, communication between the regulator and the premier, all of the correspondence, all of the issues between all the complaints listed, those all will come into effect on the discovery. And that discovery will determine whether the government was negligent in supervising the bank, which is the charge, by the way, against the government and the regulator, that they did not discharge their duties in accordance to the regulations, to the NEBO Act. And so this can be a battle for lawyers, you know, and so the government has brought in a KC, and the claimants they are well armed with their lawyers, and so I will be in the court definitely to hear the arguments. I love to hear these arguments back and forth, to see the jousting and the fighting. So I'll be there enjoying myself, looking at all of the claim and counterclaims, and see what's going to be struck out and what's not going to be struck out. It's fascinating stuff.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Powell. Good evening, Tulu, and good evening, Dr. Daly.
Good evening.
Who seriously submits a business proposal or anything business-wise on the 23rd of December, the day before we go into a long Christmas season? Who really does that?
And in addition to that, he said he didn't expect any action because he knew the guys would be in Juve and so on. So he did.
That's my whole point. So, I mean, that tells you a lot about how this man thinks and how he goes about doing stuff. It makes no sense.
But Carla,
and do you know the same? I'm sorry.
Carla, he makes absolute sense. He was given a deadline by Johnson to make it happen before the end of the year. So he had to do it.
So he was meeting his deadline.
He was meeting his
from
deadline,
his master.
of course.
Okay, but Dr. Daly, all the months before, where this was in town hall meetings and all of that, and where it's the whole thing is crazy. It makes no sense. You mean to tell me it's going to bring him? Didn't we first start hearing about this in July when they went before the House in St. Kitts?
That's when we heard about it, but they have been discussing this for years.
Exactly. So don't come and tell me now that they had a deadline of the 23rd of December. The 23rd of December. Now, you notice how he brushed over, oh, about the required documents. Did he not know? Did he not know that these are documents that would be required and must be when you submit those plans? Is he, I mean, this is a clear indication, and it tells you why nothing is happening in Nevis. The hospital hasn't worked in 9 years. All these things haven't happened because this is foolishness. If the person who is submitting these things don't have the required, or don't think the required documents need to be in there, that's very, very important, then that's why we see this foolishness happening. So where are we really going with this stuff? I kept questioning why it took St. Kitts from the 23rd of December to the 29th of January for something to happen, not knowing or understanding that these required documents wasn't there. Well, now we know. Okay? But the games that are being played, it seems, and somebody needs to come straight and talk straight. This is absolute foolishness. And that is why the people who are proposing this proposal is going to do foolishness with us, because they see us doing foolishness. We look like idiots. We look like absolute idiots. And this is it's not helping the people of Nevis when we see these kind of things being done. It's not helping us in any way. And then you have the foreigners who want to come in here because they know they're playing with little children in a park. It's like playing some little stupid game in a park with a bunch of little children. Because these can't be adults. These can't be serious business people and behaving like this.
Thank you very much, caller.
Have a good night.
You have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Gentlemen, we're going to do closing statements because it's now at a point where I don't think anybody will quarrel with me because we went out at 10 o'clock. Tulu?
Dr. Joe, I believe, learned his lesson from Dr. Harris in relation to dealing with the Premier. Dr. Harris would have indicated that the Premier brought Martinez and MSR to him, and he did not do any real vetting because he trusted the Premier, only to find out that Martinez was not what the Premier presented him to be. The Prime Minister now wants to be on the safe side, that I'm not just going to take anything, Brantley, that you put before me and tell me sign, and I'm going to sign. I want all of the documentation, and then I am still not going to sign it all by myself because this is too big for me as an individual. I want the experts to advise me where to go in relation to this matter, and that is the wise position to take. Now, I've been struggling with why the Premier is so hell-bent and putting destiny on the people of Nevis. And I have concluded that he has calculated what is in it for him, what is in it for his family, and he will not allow that to go without he getting it. I have satisfied myself in my mind that something has already passed under the table, over the table, and around the table. And then now the greater profits are not only what he and his family are going to get from right there, but then because they are CBI agents, they will be collecting money from the sale of the lands, from being CBI agents, for being legal advisors somewhere along the line, I am told. And that has already calculated. Solomon says, money answereth all things. And the Apostle Paul says, the love of money is the root of all kind of evil. And it is clear that our premier loves money. Good night.
I was going to ask you, so who was right, Paul or Solomon? But you saved the answer till next week. Dr. Daly?
Was that right?
Maybe Paul. I don't know. I listened, and let me say this as a caveat. I was disappointed, and this is no way has to do with the premier in his personality, in his person. But in reference to the meeting on St. Kitts there,
CARICOM heads?
the 50th CARICOM heads of government meeting, I was terribly disappointed that the Prime Minister did not see it fit to have the Premier of Navies present at the meetings. It has nothing to do with Mark Brantley. It has to do with the office of the Premier. The office of the Premier controls 1/3 of the Federation in terms of population. Half of the landmass. And the people of Nevis were without representation at a very important meeting, 50th anniversary, right here on St. Kitts, and our Premier was not to be seated. But Kamala Bissessa walked with her Chief Secretary from Tobago. The Chief Secretary from Tobago was present in the meetings, but not our Premier. And it has nothing to do with Mark Brantley. Not that, I favor the gentleman, but it goes to the office of the Premier. How can we not call this out for what it is? Because you're not dissing, you're not just personally dissing the Premier, you're dissing the people of Nevis. And so what we got was a consolation for them to visit Nevis on the last day of the conference. But no inclusion in strategic discussions about regional security, about trade and development, about geothermal. The Prime Minister took a long time discussing the potential for geothermal at the same conference. Absent of Nevis. Absent from any representation from Nevis. My personal differences with the Premier are on record. But it is foolish and short-sighted for us to accept that this is appropriate. I do not know what the thinking was, but based on the fact that we are seeing associate members from CARICOM being present, from Anguilla was there, BVI was there, with their contingent. But the island of Nevis, all we get was an invite to the opening ceremony. Not good enough. Not good enough. We should have been there in whatever representation. My personal views on the Premier, it has nothing to do with it. The Premiership has something to do with it. Because by law, he is the head of government of Nevis, even though we're a federation. And the courtesy, which should be extended, should go beyond just the opening ceremony. That is my view on that. Because things will be discussed in there that will reverberate because it's a federal matter. Geothermal is a federal matter. You're discussing it as if it's yours on St. Kitts, minus our representation here in Nevis. Not that it really matters because you already signed it over, but at least show us some respect as a people by inviting to be a part of the plenary sessions the most senior member of government on Nevis. Because if it was Dr. Hodge, I wouldn't want her to be dismissed like that. If you could go back in time, I wouldn't want Joseph Parry to be dismissed like that, or Sir Simeon Daniel to be dismissed like that. And so some things must rise above the present tribal politics and go to what is right. And what Dr. Drew did was not right. Irrespective, was not right. All right? That is, I don't want to belabor the point, but I feel very strongly about this idea that we are somehow umbilically tied to St. Kitts and be treated as the people say, as a red-headed stepchild.
Quoting Brantley.
Right? I don't like it. I do not like it. We are not geographically equal in size or by population, but we are a significant member of this federation. And we must be accorded the respect of that. And if they had said, listen, well, your chief secretary, Madam Bissessa, you can't bring him because this is a head of government. Okay, fine. Did you tell Gaston Brown not to walk with his people? Did you tell Cora from Anguilla not to walk with their people? But you're going to tell your premier in Nevis, one half of the federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, you can't come. Clear disrespect for the people of Nevis. If bad enough you have not come one time to visit officially to hear from the people of Nevis, but you're going to deny the premier the ability to listen and come back and report or interact with people who are making decisions that will impact the people of Nevis, and we have no voice. I can't accept that. Can't. Thank you very much.
And I understand where you're coming from. The only caveat I will put on that is that our premier, who is also the leader of the opposition, was also the Minister of Foreign Affairs, one of the top officers in a government.
There you go.
And he brought down his own government. So while I understand you and I support your position in that it is an insult that the Premier of Nevis was not allowed to be in the discussions there in St. Kitts as a member of the delegation, it says to me that when the Prime Minister took the Premier to Taiwan, he was just telling him, come, let's go on a little joyride. But when it came to serious business, such as the 50th meeting of the heads of government, he said, listen, and now you go back in a small boy place. I don't have any use for you. It was indeed an insult. Couple of things I want to put on the table before I leave. One, the Gingerland constituency group will be having the best breakfast in the whole of Nevis on the 7th.
And we having ours the 7th too.
You're having yours the 7th and they're having theirs on the 7th. I don't know why we have that clash because it don't normally clash.
It couldn't help that way.
So on the 7th, well, let me just say the best breakfast in Nevis, and you decide whether you're going St. Paul's or you're going Charlestown. I'm going to leave it at that. The second thing I want to point out is that there is no cricket this weekend. On Saturday, we are paying respect to a former president of the Cricket Association, Sterling Marshall, so we're heading to his funeral. On Sunday, we're supposed to have a developmental game. Normally at the end of every month we have a 2-day development game so that we can help our players to improve. Some of them didn't go and do their fitness tests this week on Tuesday, and this cricket association is big on fitness testing, both at under 16 and senior team level. You don't do your fitness tests, listen, we're just not going to pick you. Simple as that. So the fitness testing wasn't done, but listen out, you might have a couple of practice games between some of the clubs. Next weekend, on Saturday, we'll have cricket Villa United versus Easterns at ETW. New Vision versus Masters at VOJN. And on Sunday, St. Kitts senior team will play against Navy senior team. And that match will be at ETW. It's a 50-over game starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. So St. Kitts against Nevis at ETW. We do have a second division game scheduled that should be Villa United against Jets at VOJN. And we'll tell you more about that during the course of the week. And I'm closing by saying, listen, in the outer world, when you do foolishness, you get caught up. And so this week, Lord Peter Mandelson, who was the United Kingdom's ambassador to the United States and who was recalled from that position because of his dealing with Mr. Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and emails and so on, and they're trying to work out whether or not he leaked any trade secrets. He resigned from the House of Lords. That's my understanding. And also, he was picked up, he was arrested by the British police. And so he spent some hours, they granted him bail, they took away his passport because they said that they found out that he was looking to make a move and go outside of the UK jurisdiction. Well, I don't know if outside because he was looking to go down to the British Virgin Islands, which is still British. But they took away his passport so he can't travel, but he was indeed arrested. If that is not enough, you have a fellow who we knew as Prince Andrew. He is no longer Prince Andrew. He is simply known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. So he has been stripped of all of his official titles. He too was arrested by British police and questioned. In Nevis, you have a member of parliament who lied to parliament, and nobody has said you should step aside. That's the regulation. You have ministers of government who do all kind of choppiness. I hear one of them nowadays selling cars through somebody else. I hear one of them building houses all over the place. I hear that there are members of government here in Nevis who are getting involved in all kind of foolishness. And the police would come and ask me a question because I say it. But they know who they be and they wouldn't ask them a question. So I am just putting on the table for you. Lord Peter Mountbatten had to resign. Mandelson had to resign from the House of Lords. He was arrested by British police. Andrew, the son of Queen Elizabeth of late and blessed memory,
the brother,
and Prince Philip,
brother of the king,
the brother of the king, was stripped of all his titles and arrested. In Nevis, when you're in CCM, which has been described as a criminal enterprise, you do all manner of evil. And people say, don't say it, don't talk about it, don't call the name. Well, are you fat? Because we're going to call the name. Are you good night? We're going to see all you next week when we'll be back with you with much more politics, much more Nevis, much more of everything that you want to hear and decide on. You have had 35 years of 4 seasons. You have been told by the CCM government that 4 seasons was bad for Nevis. All of a sudden, 35 years later, they're saying is the best thing happened to Nevis. Was brought here by NRP. See you next week.
It's